Hello and welcome to this week's Q&A. We have a bumper episode this week. So these are the fantastic questions from my amazing 6-weekers and squaddies. We are going to split this into 3 different sections today. So we've got exercise and training, then we're going to go into a little bit of a nutrition focus. And then right at the end, we've had a few questions on menopause and hormonal health. So it's going to be a really brilliant and insightful Q&A. And squaddies, I just want to say that I'm loving the vibes in all of these September focus groups. They're absolutely fantastic. Keep up the brilliant work and supporting each other. And also, very, very quickly, you can now book onto the baby shower. So we're having a little squaddy breakfast get together baby shower in October. Please do get yourself booked on. I need to tell the Cozy Club by, I think it's the 21st of September. Yeah, that's right. So literally like a week on Sunday. So let me know if you want to come and I can send you the info, and it would just be a really nice opportunity to put names to faces, have some nice breakfast, maybe even meet me in flesh for the first time. So it'd be wonderful to have you there. Okay, let's go into the Q&A, gang. I'm going to try and keep this as close to 30 minutes as I possibly can. All right. Question number 1. I'd be interested to hear your views on walking with a weighted vest. They've become really popular and I've heard a lot of conflicting advice about them. So it depends what you're using it for, really. If you are using it to get your heart rate up a little bit more, practice a little bit more resistance, essentially make your walking harder, and you can really make it harder than a normal walk, but maybe you wouldn't be exerting yourself as much as if you went on a run, for example, then it's a brilliant way to make walking more challenging and even improve bone density a little bit as well, but only if you use it correctly. So I would, if you're going to get one, just start light. Focus on how you're holding yourself. So your posture, chest open, shoulders back, core engaged, and make sure that the way that you put the weight in, usually you've got like little pads that you insert. Make sure it's all distributed very evenly as well. But if you've got any back or neck or even joint problems, I wouldn't really be recommending it. But if you're trying to do it to improve your strength, I would say there's much more effective ways to do that. And I would be saying that, no, actually you want to be doing strength training, as in like using a barbell or using dumbbells. The vest is kind of like a bonus tool. So it's a bonus tool for making walking that little bit harder if you want to. So getting the heart rate up a little bit more than you would with a usual walk, and also improving strength and endurance more than a normal walk would be. But the most important thing is consistency with walking rather than like the actual vest in itself. But yeah, it just depends on what you're using it for. I hope that helps. The basic exercise for fat loss on midriff and how to not put strain on the knees and the back. Okay, so these are kind of 2 separate questions. So I'll talk about exercise for fat loss on the waistline first. Now, unfortunately, there is no magical exercise that will help you lose belly fat. It's not a thing, okay? We can't fat spot reduce. We can't choose any part on our body and say, I want to lose body fat from that particular area right there. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. And genetics have a really big part to play in where we will lose our body fat first. And of course, other things like hormonal changes. So when we go through the perimenopause into postmenopause, as women, our bodies prefer to store our body fat around our tummies. And that doesn't mean that, we have to just accept it. What it means is that when we lose weight, it might not be from there first. So in order to lose weight from your midline, you want to be in an overall calorie deficit. So calories out are greater than calories in. And we manipulate this through our food choices and portion sizes. So you want to be looking at the food that you're having, put yourself in a bit of a calorie deficit. And of course, we want to be strength training as well. So strength training is really important. It's important for your bone density and also important for your muscle tone. So I would be doing regular strength training. So that's anything on our classes that is red. I'll be doing any of those. And I would also be looking at doing things like Pilates. So you are strengthening your core as well. And I'm not saying, that's going to be the magical pill for losing weight around the midriff. Like I said, that is going to come from overall fat loss. But we want to be making sure that we are supporting our body in the best way possible to build lean muscle, boost our metabolism the best we can, and also to look after our bodies. So that would be how to lose fat on around the midline. Also, be thinking about foods maybe that tend to bloat us, because bloating can be a real big contributor to how we feel around our tummies as well. So be looking at foods that are going to support your digestion, and maybe making a note of things that actually make you feel bloated. Now, for the knees and the back, so how to not put strain on the knees and the back. You want to be focusing on strength work to support your joints. And that's going to be working muscles like your quads, like your glutes, like the back of your legs, your hamstrings, and your deep core. So thinking about all the muscles that surround the knee joint, that surround the back, that are going to keep us strong. Definitely just make sure you're regularly strength training, so 2 to 3 times a week. And even doing things like wall sits, things like squats, like lunges, like glute bridges, where you're lying on your back and you're lifting your hips up. Deep core work is so, so important too. So I would be looking at Pilates, I'd be looking at Stronger, and I would be looking at the booty band workouts as well. And all of those workouts will help protect your knees and your back. Then, to avoid putting extra strain on them, obviously make this a progressive thing. So if your knees and your back are something that you suffer with right now, don't go into Stronger and load up a really heavy barbell. Make it progressive. So you might even start off, with a really light weight on the back track and think, okay, I'm going to increase this week by week, just a little bit. And then you can really progressively overload to get stronger. Also be thinking about releasing. So do Pilates, but also do some yoga skate, release your back. And really, really important to think about your technique. So go to the on-demand area and go to the how-to section where we break down all the moves, and make sure you've got a good, solid technique. So we want to build on strong foundations. When you get to a certain age, our skin arms crepes. By doing strength training, can we reduce the appearance of this, or what would be the best way to achieve this? Okay, so first of all, when your skin arm crepes, it literally comes from the French word a crepe. So it kind of looks like a crepe. Strength training is one of the best things that you can do. Now, it won't change our skin texture completely, because that's linked to the amount of collagen that is in our skin, and we lose collagen with age, particularly as we reach the perimenopause and beyond. But the muscle underneath can create a firmer appearance. So by having that lean muscle mass there, yes, we can create a firmer appearance with our skin. And also a few other factors to think about, making sure that you are consistently hydrated. That's really important. You're eating protein-rich food, and maybe some moisturizing. I know it's more topical, but just like some moisturizing for your skin. Make sure you're always using good SPF. But yes, don't underestimate the power of lifting weights. But it's not just about how the skin looks. It's about how your body feels, and how it feels in each stage, in each chapter of life as well. Strength training is so, so important, and it's massively important for body confidence too. So yes, it helps improve the appearance. It gives us that firmer, more toned, more shapely look, but it also makes us feel a million times better in how we feel in ourselves, and actually makes life easier. It really, really does. When you are stronger, everything else will feel easier. So yes. Basically, yes, strength training, do it. On a fasting plan of 2 days, restricted calorie intake, the other days are more normal. Is it safe to exercise on those days? It depends. It depends. And first of all, I would be, fasting works really well for some people, it doesn't work for others. I'd be thinking about, what are your main goals behind doing this way? Is your main goal overall to lose weight, or is your main goal to improve your health and your fitness and your strength? Is this, or are you struggling at the moment with, say, for example, we've just been speaking about weight around the midline, in that perimenopausal, menopausal stage? Is our body already under a lot of strain, under a lot of stress? What is the main purpose of doing this? So firstly, I'd be questioning, just because with the way that this question is phrased, obviously, you're wanting to exercise, you're wanting to improve your health and your fitness, but restricting calorie intake. Now, we want to be fueling our workouts too. As I said, fasting it works really well for some people, doesn't for others. Well, the reason that fasting works is because it puts you into a calorie deficit. So, it's not something that I would advocate, especially for anyone who's had a poor relationship with food in the past, or anyone who is menopausal or postmenopausal. It's not something that I would advocate. I would be advocating to fuel your body in the best way possible. But if it is something that you really want to do, and you are, you find that it works really well for you, it might be safe to exercise lightly. But I think it's really important to listen to your energy levels. So maybe some yoga, maybe some walking or Pilates on fasting days, because your body is literally wanting to use the energy to keep you alive. And also to maintain the muscle that you do have. And I would say strength training or cardio for days where you are well fueled and you are nourished. Then also, of course, just making sure that you're staying hydrated on those days. But as I said, it's not really something that I would advocate. I would be trying to get your body into a place where it is fueled for your workouts, but you are in a slight deficit, just because it's less likely to have a big strain on your body, and particularly if you are struggling with hormones, if you are in that perimenopausal stage where they're wildly fluctuating, our body is already under quite a lot of strain already. So 2 days of restricted calories just puts stress on top of stress. And also, if you're wanting to get the most out of your workouts, I would be in more kind of an even keel over the week. Yes, be in a calorie deficit, but in a more of an even keel, because you might find that after 2 days of restricted calorie intake, actually for the next day, or maybe even the next 2 days after that, you might feel like your energy is taking a long time to pick back up. And there might be some nutrients, like I don't know what the restricted calories are here as well. That is important for context. But, so let's say that they're really, really quite low. I'd be a little bit concerned. Are you getting in enough nutrients into your body and also enough protein on those days to help you maintain your lean muscle mass? Because the last thing we want to be doing is trying to improve our lean muscle mass, and, maintain, boost our metabolism, etc., and keep a nice toned figure as well as losing weight, because that's what we want to. We want to retain as much lean muscle mass as possible as we lose weight, because then you get that nice toned lean look and you keep strong. And I would hate to think that then we're not eating adequate protein to support that. So we're creating the stimulus in class, but then we're not feeding the muscle. And so anyway, it's all literally food for thought, but it is all very context based. Depends on what works for the person, depends on how active you are, yes, and it also depends on what those calories actually are. But I hope that's helpful. What should I be aiming for in terms of kilograms of weights? At the moment, I'm doing 5k for light to medium, 7 for medium, and 10k heavy. Should I be going lighter or heavier? It really depends. It depends on you. And I would say, as a rule of thumb, if you can complete your reps, say if we're doing a stronger track, if you can complete it with perfect form, but you feel challenged like towards the end. So particularly towards the end, maybe on the last few reps, it is really quite challenging, but you still got good form. Yeah, you're in the right kind of zone. When it feels too easy for more than say like a week or so, then you need to be moving it up. And if you feel like you're doing anything strange with how you're holding your body, maybe, overcompensating, trying to thrust the hips forwards when you're doing a bicep curl, for example, then it's probably too heavy. So it really, really depends. For example, some moves, like this morning, I used a 10k for some rows. I used a K for some bicep curls, and then some shoulder work. I was on 3, and because it's, working smaller muscles and we're doing some high repetitions. So generally with the work that we do more muscular endurance. So we're looking at lower weights, higher repetition. So it depends on the person. It is very, very individual, but just make sure that your form is on point and that you do feel adequately challenged without having to put your weights down all the time. And part of that was, when will it get easier? It will get easier. And it will get, also, just stay consistent. Consistency is key. Just keep showing up for you. And all of a sudden, everything will start to click. The only reason it will never work, and this is what happens to a lot of people, is because they don't like feeling uncomfortable, particularly when we first get started on a fitness journey. So they give up. And they give up too early, like usually at the point where they are literally getting stronger, about to get stronger and about to break into this doesn't feel so bad. But also, as you get fitter and as you get stronger, you will keep challenging yourself. For example, I don't know, if I go on a run, I might be, obviously not at the moment, but like if I go on a run, then I might, when I get fitter, I might start running faster. And then I'm still feeling like adequately challenged. But if I went, say, the same pace as the first week that I went on a run, I'd probably find that super easy. But as you get stronger, as you get fitter, it's not like the journey will always get easy. You'll just have new heights to challenge yourself. But what will feel easier is everything else in daily life, like climbing up the stairs, carrying your shopping bags. They will feel so much easier when, as before, they might have felt like workouts in themselves. And now it's just like life wins. So do the hard things for an easy life. If you were to say a particular exercise would help with your sleep, what would that be? Oh, okay. Probably a yoga before bed. Yoga, or one of our pre-bedtime yogas, or meditation, or maybe even like a calming Pilates, or just even doing a little bit of breath work. So 10 minutes of some deep breath work or gentle stretches can really, really help to get you into a bit of a rest mode. I would do any strength training cardio earlier on in the day and to help with your sleep. Yeah, really calm yoga. If you go onto On Demand and type in chill or relax, those kind of yogas come up. So the ones that are a little bit slower, or you could put bedtime in, and we've got some. So I would do one of those and that'll help you get into a nice deep restorative sleep. After week 5 of the 6-week course, should I be doing more 20 or 30-minute classes than bolt-ons? It depends on how much time you've got. Like, yes, as your fitness builds, longer classes will give you more of a challenge. And also, you know, as you get fitter, you'll probably find that actually you want to do them a little bit longer. But the bolt-ons, they all add up. They really, really do. So it just depends on your time and how much time you do have. So we always recommend 3 full 20-minute classes when you first get started with us. And the idea is, if that works for you, keep on going with that. You've got to make this fit in around your lifestyle. But if you want to take the thinking out of it, either follow the first class of the timetable or the second class of the timetable, and I've got the perfect mix for you. So that is your plan. Or if actually you're wanting to do more and challenge yourself, if you follow the double each day, they all complement each other. So again, that could also be your plan. But it depends on how much time you've got. The recommended minutes in terms of exercise are 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise per week. So vigorous exercise, you're looking at your aerobics, your sculpt, your HIIT, your stronger, your combat, your spin, for example. Moderate exercise, you're looking at your power walking, gardening, literally, brisk walking outside, your Pilates. So they're kind of more moderate. You could argue maybe dance fitness, and dance fitness, depending on how hard you try, could also be vigorous. So a lot of it depends on your effort. But 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous, or if you're, doing a bit of both, somewhere in between, that is the guidelines for how much exercise to do per week at the moment. So just for a bit of food for thought. But like I said, if you follow like the first or the second class, I've got you sorted, or you could do both. What's the best way to strengthen your core? The best way to strengthen your core, you want to be thinking deep core. So go to On Demand, type deep in, star all of those ones that say deep core, and do those a couple of times a week. But we want to be thinking about engaging the whole entire core as well. So when a lot of people hear the word core, they think 6-pack or crunches or planks. But actually, it's much more than that. We want to be thinking about the transverse abdominis, which is your deep core, and it's like a corset around your body. You want to be thinking about, yes, the front and the sides, so the 6-pack and the sides. We want to be thinking about the base, which is your pelvic floor as well. Now, Pilates is fantastic for this. We do all of the exercises to improve your core strength in Pilates, and we also use a lot of breath work with this that actually helps to engage your muscles even more. So definitely get yourself on Pilates. And I would be saying, in terms of how many times to do this per week, maybe at least 2-3 times doing this per week to really, really improve your core strength. And when you're doing other exercises as well, so when you're doing workouts like Stronger, make sure that you're thinking about engaging your core as you're doing it. So engaging, lifting up through the pelvic floor, drawing the navel in towards the spine. Be really thinking about engaging the deep core. I don't know whether I have mild diastasis recti, but my stomach still looks pregnant some days. Is there anything I can do to reduce bloating and tone strengthen my stomach muscles apart from the dreaded plank? Now, actually, if you do have diastasis recti, and if you're not sure what this is, team, it's basically where your 6-pack muscles have separated. So in between your 6-pack muscles, so say you've got 3 down on the 3 down on the side, you have a line, it's called the linea alba, and it's connective tissue. So a line probably isn't the best way of describing it. It's basically a sheet of connective tissue in between your 6-pack muscles. And this can happen for various different reasons, but it's usually through having a child. Our 6-pack actually separates to accommodate for a baby. So it will be literally happening to me right now. And it's natural. But what a lot of women struggle with is, once they've had the baby, bringing it back together and strengthening the core. The plank can actually make this worse. It potentially make this worse. So if you are, you're thinking that you might have this, or you're recently postpartum, or you are currently pregnant, we need to be very careful with exercises like the plank. Any coning or doming, which is literally where your abs look like they're coming into a dome shape or a cone, like a Toblerone shape, it's very clear that you are almost like pushing that connective tissue outwards. We're not engaging our deep core. So we really want to be thinking about engaging the deep core. So the best way to improve your stomach muscles, your tummy strength, work the deep core. Anything on demand that says deep core on it. So if you just type deep in, press enter, go through those, star them, and do those ones again 2 to 3 times a week. Then also breath work, really, really important to help you reconnect with your core. So Pilates is brilliant for that. And most of the deep core stuff actually is Pilates. I would also have a look at our pelvic floor area. All of it works together in conjunction. So go to the pelvic floor area. It's a brand new section that we've got on the website, and go through some of those because that will really, really help. We want to be avoiding things probably like the plank, and unless you do it on your toes and you feel like on your knees and you feel like you have engaged your core properly, then fair enough. Definitely avoid crunches and sit-ups. Anything sort of six-pack related is not the one right now. We really want to be working the deep core to really draw that six-pack back together. Bloating is usually food or stress related. So I would keep a diary to see what triggers it. And so you don't need to do a plank every day to see results, and that actually might be making it worse. So don't do that. Let's really think about the deep core and think about the breath work, putting it all together, and check out that pelvic floor area. And yes, make a note of any stresses, anything food wise that you feel like might add to bloating. Which is best for stretching sore muscles, Yogascape or Pilates? My PMR is flaring and I need instructions to support the muscles. Thank you. I would do, firstly, I'm sorry to hear that this is happening. I know that it's not a nice thing to be experiencing, and it's pretty painful. Let's think about how to really help relax the body, to calm the body, and then also release the muscles. So I would do Yogascape. I would say that is perfect when you need a mixture of stretch and relaxation as well, especially during PMR flare. I would say Pilates is amazing, and it really does help with, mobility, helps with strength, alignment. But I think here the priority needs to be some more gentle stretching to calm the body first. And then Pilates when you're feeling more in a place to kind of strengthen and improve the muscle strength, support your muscles. But I think for now, Yogascape will be a good one. Best exercises for a weak core, posture, neck, and upper back stiffness in the morning. Okay, so in general, I would be saying Pilates is number one for this, for posture, core, neck, back stiffness. It's fantastic at all of those things and mobility. But if you're just looking for something to do really fast in the morning, like a quick 5 minutes, I would be starting with some shoulder rolls, some arm circles, and then I would come down and do some cat-cow. So, when you're on all fours and you round your back to look like a cat, and then you dip it back down to do cow. So that will really help release the neck. So tuck the chin in as well. Then you can do some seated twist. So literally sit down, twist one way, look over the shoulder, twist the other way, look at the shoulder, open up your arms into a cactus pose. You could stand against a wall for that one. So really opening up here, and just some chin tucks, one ear up to the ceiling, one ear up to the ceiling, and maybe follow it with something like some glute bridges or some bird dogs where you're on all fours, opposite arm, opposite leg. You might want to pause this and replay what I've just said. And if you're not sure what any of those moves are, let me know, or just get yourself on demand, type in upper body stretch and do one of those. That might be the easiest thing. There's some nice ones in the bolt-on area, actually. You could just do part of one, for example. The ratio of strength to cardio exercise for over 40s. Now, strength training should absolutely be your foundation, particularly over 40. And then as soon as, we start to reach perimenopausal stage and beyond, the training needs to be your foundation. So I would say absolute bare minimum 2 sessions a week. And I'm talking 2 full sessions here, but 3 ideally, or maybe even 4. And that is for your bone density. It is for your muscles. It's for your hormonal health. And cardio is still important. It still has a really important place. And that can be high intensity, high impact, or low intensity, low impact, whatever you want really. But I would be saying, strength training needs to be your number one and your number one priority. And also don't forget about the mobility side. What about mobility and core? It's okay doing strength training and cardio, But then if that's all we do and we don't do anything to improve our core strength, improve our mobility and our flexibility, we're going to be begging an injury. So it's really important to have the all-round balance. And it depends on how much time you have. So how much time do you have in your week? You know, if you've only got enough time for, say, 4 to 5 20-minute sessions, okay, right, well, let's make 2 of them strength, or if we can, sometimes 3. So let's say, just say 2 of them strength for now. One of them a high intensity cardio, one a low intensity cardio, and then one of them a yoga or Pilates. Then the next week, we want a yoga, a Pilates, and 2 strength classes and 1 cardio. And you kind of rotate it a little bit like that, but definitely make sure that you've got all of them in there. Or if you're not sure, literally follow the timetable. First or second class, just do that, take the thinking out of it. Recovery times. My watch will say after a run that I need 24 hours to recover in between. That's not always possible. Sometimes I want to do something in the afternoon, but then I do the class the following morning. Is there a recommended recovery time, and does it differ depending on the exercise, fitness levels, or other factors? Watches are a great guide, but they're not perfect, and they don't know you, and they don't know your body. Your recovery depends on your fitness level. It depends on the intensity and the duration of your workout. It depends on your sleep. It depends on your current stress. And it also depends on your nutrition. So a light walk or a stretch next day, is usually fine after a hard session. And actually, you know, if you've done a run and then the next day or later on in the afternoon, you want to do like an upper body strength, or you want to do some Pilates, or the next morning you want to get up and do the morning class, like, how do you feel? Do you feel good? Like, if you feel sore or you feel tired, it might be a sign to rest or go a little bit lighter. But if you feel great, do it. Like, listen to your body over technology. And overall, just make sure that you've got, you know, at least 1 to 2 rest days during the week. But no, I think if you feel fine, then there's nothing to say that you can't. That's absolutely fine. Ignore the watch. Ignore the watch. Go with how you feel. And I always used to hear that high impact exercise, like jumping up and down, pounding the pavement, should not be done if you have any joint issues. But recently, I heard that such exercise is good for building bone density. What's your take on it? Both are true. Both are actually true. Impact does strengthen your bones, but you do need a solid foundation first. So that is where strength training comes in as well. So if you have joint issues, I would be focusing more on strength training, low impact cardio and mobility work. And then once your joints are feeling a bit stronger, small amounts of impact, like, jumps or whatever you want to do, step jumps, squat jumps, are excellent for bone health as well. But it depends on where you are at right now. But just because, you know, you've got joint issues doesn't mean that you're never, ever going to be able to do any high impact ever again. But what we do need to do is make sure we're doing everything in our power to support our joints. So really focusing in on the foundations, mobility and strength being the main ones, really. Let's move on to nutrition and diet. Let's go. Question number 16, gang. Love chocolate nuts, and I thought of them as not too unhealthy as a snack. Do you think I should avoid them? And what might be a better sweet alternative? Chocolate nuts are a great snack in moderation. They are high in healthy fats, and also, you know, nuts are a source of protein, but they are also calorie dense and, yes, very sugary, being coated in chocolate. So I would consider them as a bit more of a sweet, really. A handful is fine. But I wouldn't be using them as a healthy snack. And really, you know, what is healthy and what is unhealthy? More nutrient dense, less nutrient dense food. There's always going to be a bit of a range, a bit of a spectrum, isn't there? You know, you've got your nuts that are totally uncovered, and then you've got your chocolate, and the chocolate nuts are kind of somewhere in between, right? But I wouldn't be, you know, absolutely hammering them. If you want to go with some different options, you could try Greek yogurt, so 100% Greek yogurt, and make sure it's not Greek style, with some fruit. You could try some dark chocolate with some strawberries. You could try some protein balls. You could have some carrot and hummus, or cucumber and hummus, those different types of snacks. You could get unsweetened popcorn or whatever. They're quite good snacks as well. And of course, don't forget fruit. Like, fruit's just absolutely brilliant. So they're fine. I wouldn't be avoiding any foods, to be honest. I think everything in moderation, 70-30 rule, but 70% nutrient dense, 30% a bit of what you want. I would be putting them a little bit more into the bit of what you want section. If I only had 5 minutes to prepare lunch, what would be a few simple protein rich and nutritious options? I live off jacket potatoes. Okay, right. Give me yours as well, gang. What would you go for? For me, my go-to would be pre-washed salad and then bang something on top of it. So for example, you could already get eggs that are already pre-boiled from the supermarket. Whack them on top. You could put some spinach in there. You could put some croutons in there. All of it you could just literally pour into a bowl, or some chickpeas even. Again, you could start with your salad base. You can get pre-cooked chicken that you could put in there. You could put some olives in there, some nice dressing, maybe some balsamic, a bit of olive oil. Boom, done. Poached eggs on toast. You could go for soup and a roll, although there's not protein in that, so I'd probably pair it with maybe some Greek yogurt afterwards or something. Smoked salmon, cream cheese bagel, or on toast. If you like wraps, you go for a wholemeal wrap, cottage cheese wrap, chicken. Nothing wrong with a sandwich either. I'd probably just go for more kind of granary whole grain bread and just to add, more fibre and keep you feeling fuller for longer. So just whacking a quick sandwich together, ham salad sandwich, chicken salad sandwich, or whatever, cheese, doesn't matter. Nothing is off limits here. So these are all just different options. Like good jacket potatoes are great, but I'm sure you probably get a bit bored of them sometimes. So there's just a few different options that you could do there. Nothing too fancy. I think the best thing to do is think about, right, where's the salad, where's the veggies? So you've got your base, protein, palm size worth of protein. Carbohydrates, what can we have carbohydrate wise? Usually around about a fist of carbohydrates. So you could boil a load of pasta, for example. What about like a pasta salad? Whip some pesto in it, maybe put some pine nuts in it, get some pre-cooked chicken already, bang, boom, done. So you've got your carbohydrates, we'll say, you've got some healthy fats in there, and then you've also got some protein. So be thinking about the things that you want to put in there. Carbohydrate, protein, where's the salad, where's the veggies, and then some healthy fats. And that might be a drizzle of olive oil as a topping or something like that. But yeah, there's just a few ideas. You also got things like, so not just pasta, but, and again, I'd probably go for more, if you've got a choice and you like it, go for more wholemeal. There is nothing wrong with white. It's just more processed, that's all. So if you can, go for the lesser processed versions. I really like sourdough bread. It's more expensive, but I love it. I really like sourdough bread. But yes, just be thinking about those things, or quinoa or rice. Yeah, anyway, there's a few ideas, loads of ideas. Eating slowly, does this help with digestion, help you eat less because of the time it takes for your brain to register that you're eating or becoming full? Yes, absolutely. It takes you about 15 to 20 minutes for the brain to realize that we're actually full. So slowing down is actually a really, really proven way to avoid overeating. So that might be things just literally chewing properly. How many times do you chew your food like once or twice and then gulp it straight down? So chewing properly helps to aid digestion. It really brings out the enzymes that help to break down the food before we gulp it down. And also it helps reduce bloating because we're helping our body to digest the food before it's hit the stomach. So make sure you're chewing properly, chewing a bit more, and maybe even sometimes actually putting a knife and fork down in between bites just to make us slow down. But yes, really, really good point. Really good idea. How many times have we wolfed down something, like wolfed down a sandwich at lunchtime in front of a laptop and then actually kind of still felt a bit hungry afterwards? So yeah, slow down 15 to 20 minutes for your body to realize that actually it's full. And how many times have we eaten dinner and then quickly gone to pudding straight afterwards, and then it's hit us all of a sudden like a train, like, wow, I feel really full now. And that's just that happening. Any suggestions on how to be more regimented in drinking water? Yes. Make water part of your routine. And this is literally what I do. So in the morning, rightly or wrongly, I actually start with a coffee. But I start with a coffee and then I will follow it immediately by a glass of water. Probably ideally I'd have the water first, but anyway, whatever. No one's perfect. I like doing it like that. So, but then I immediately follow with a glass of water. And my point is, it's part of my routine and I don't think about it anymore. Always make sure that you've got a bottle on your desk, in the car, in your handbag. It's wherever you are. You're literally looking at it. So you can't avoid the water. You can also set hourly reminders on your phone. You can use apps that do that for you. So you can download a water reminder app. Or if you think that'd be really annoying, get one of those big bottles and it's got the times down the side of it, where we should have drunk by what time. They can be useful. They can be really, really useful. And like I said at the start, pairing it with a habit, I think, is one of the most helpful things to do. Like every time, for example, you boil the kettle, you make tea or coffee, have a glass of water whilst it's boiling, or make it part of your day. So when you have your lunch, make sure you've always got a glass of water there. When you start to answer your emails at the start of the day, where's the water? Just choose something in your day and attach water to it. And then it will become just part of your routine and part of what you do. I'd like to know more about the impact of alcohol on you as you age. I'm much more affected by alcohol these days, i.e. just 1 or 2 drinks and feel tipsy. Plus, I'm exhausted for days after, and I wondered if it's doing more harm than it would to a younger person. Well, as we age, our bodies change a lot. So we have less muscle mass, particularly if, we're not doing any strength training or eating adequate protein, for example. Our liver becomes a bit slower and more sluggish at processing, and hormonal changes too all mean that alcohol affects you more. So yes, it's not in your head, it's a thing. Even small amounts of alcohol can massively disrupt our sleep, increase hot flushes. They can decrease our recovery and our recovery from our workouts as well. The body really does process alcohol differently now. So by cutting back or having alcohol-free days, it's a really, really good choice for your energy and for your overall health as well, and for your results with your workouts. So yes, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on biologically. Right, next section, final section, last 2 questions, team. Menopause and hormonal health. What are some ways to improve sleep during the perimenopause? Now, sleep can be really, really tough during the perimenopause because of our fluctuating hormones. Our hormones are going down overall, but they are wildly fluctuating in between, particularly estrogen and progesterone. Now, progesterone is the hormone that tells your body to calm down. So it helps us go to sleep. It reduces our anxiety. It literally calms us, and it is wildly fluctuating. And again, it's going down. Estrogen is also going down, but wildly fluctuating. So some nights you might feel like actually you're okay, or you go through a period of, it's been okay. And then all of a sudden you just can't sleep, or you go to sleep and you're waking up shortly after. And this can also be due to cortisol spikes. It can be due to the fact that we are digesting food into the night. So just make sure that, you're having your evening meal 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. But these are some of the things that you can do to control it, because there's a lot out of our control here. But the things that are within our control are the following. Number 1, if you're not doing it already, consistent bed and wake times. Go to bed at the same time every night, even at the weekend. Get up at the same time every day, even at the weekend. If you're not doing that, you're already not helping yourself. You can have a leeway of about 20 to 30 minutes, but that's it, max. And if you are struggling with your sleep, I would forget about a leeway. I'd forget about trying to, quote unquote, catch up on sleep. It doesn't work like that. We need to get our body into a routine the best we possibly can to support ourselves. So number 1, sleep consistency. Number 2, exercise regularly, particularly earlier on in the day, especially if you're doing anything high intensity. So any strength or any cardio, do it earlier on in the day. Make sure you're doing the obvious stuff, keeping your bedroom cool, keeping it really dark. Make sure that you're not looking at any screens directly before you go to bed. Maybe read instead, or journal instead, or do a brain dump instead. And in fact, that can be really helpful, particularly if you've got a lot of things whirring around in your head or your anxiety is high. Just getting it all out on paper and out of your head could be really, really useful exercise. Limit your caffeine intake after midday, or don't have any after midday. And also, alcohol is a really, really big sleep disruptor. Forget the alcohol, or do it earlier on. Or if you're going to have it, just be okay with the consequences. I just think it's not going to be that great. Make sure as well that you're practicing things like yoga and meditation, so some regular relaxation. And other things that you can do would be adding magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, so your spinach, nuts, seeds, or even having a oral supplement. That has been, research currently suggests that is helpful to improve your restorative deep sleep. So all worth a try. And what I would say as well is try 1 or 2 things at a time. Don't do it all in one go, because we need to know what actually works for you as well. But the number 1 thing would be sleep consistency, and number 2, regular exercise, especially earlier on in the day, and then look at the other things as well in time. How do I get back on track when dealing with perimenopause, adenomyosis, endometriosis, and PCOS all at the same time? Like, that is a lot. It's a lot for the body to be managing, and it's a lot to have to deal with all at the same time. And just for those who don't know what adenomyosis and endometriosis are, They're essentially where the uterine lining is growing where it wouldn't normally. So adenomyosis is where your uterine lining is growing inside the muscle wall of the uterus. And endometriosis is where the uterine lining is growing outside the uterus. So, for example, on the fallopian tubes or on the ovaries, the bowel, the bladder, and both of them can cause really severe period pain. They can cause really heavy periods, really intense cramps, and then they both have their own individual symptoms as well. You know, things like chronic pain, particularly in the pelvis area, things like infertility, etc. They're not nice. They're not nice to have to be dealing with. But in terms of what to do, you know, yourself, what to do holistically, I think it's really important to be practicing consistent movement, strength training, and walking. Really important for your health, your energy, your hormonal health. So making sure that we are doing that. Reducing stress where you possibly can. Things like yoga are going to be amazing for that. And also journaling, doing brain dumps, as I said before. Make sure you're eating a diet that is really rich in protein, really rich in fiber and whole foods. Just be thinking about nourishing your body the best you can. And also prioritizing rest and recovery. So making sure that you've got that too. Control the controllables in the best way you can. You know, like on a 6-week course where we think about the core 4, be thinking about the core 4. How can you control the controllables and do your best at those things? And then just get your body into a consistent routine where it feels safe. So be consistent with your workouts, but whilst also, you know, listening to your body on days where you're just feeling horrendous or you're in intense pain. Okay, let's rest, let's recover, or let's do a gentle yoga or, you know, twist to release, to improve our digestion, whatever we might need to do on that day. And also seeking support from specialists, so like a women's health physio, dietitian. But everything that you do, every small step, all adds up to feeling better over time as well. So let's just really focus on the things that we can control. So our exercise, make sure it's consistent. Let's focus on staying hydrated. Let's focus on really, really nourishing the body, and then sleep the best we can. And that, you know, what I spoke about in the question before will really help with that. But it's a lot to be dealing with. It really, really is. Now, team, I hope that's been helpful this week. Do let me know. Let me know. And if you're listening on the podcast, you know, do let me know in the comments. I do get to see them. Or give us a little rating or whatever. Just let us know that this is useful and you are enjoying it. And I will see you in class tomorrow. And if you haven't already done it, do the total tone arm workout from today because it's a beast. Anyway, have a great one, team. And oh yeah, let me know about the baby shower as well. And I'll see you soon. Bye.